All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Mindgasms movie chat. Glad we're finally doing this. I'm going to talk about Die Hard, which is, I would say, it's my favorite classic action movie, starring Bruce Willis as John McClane, of course. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. And yeah, I watch it every year on Christmas Eve, which became a tradition when I first watched it with my dad and my brother on a Christmas Eve once. And so I've been watching it once a year ever since. So yeah, and of course, we've got our regular Mindgasms movie chat people. We got Chris James and Woke Centrist, aka Dusty Cubes, aka Dustin Cubit, presented as Jules in one picture there, and as Snake from one Metal Gear Solid in that other picture. And then we've got Shane Kennedy here, of course, who often joins the cool deep dives with Chief Keef, aka Tim Keefe. So yeah, this will be fun. So, what do you? Why don't we start off with what do you guys think about the movie? Any of you, whichever one of you wants to go first.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, um, one, one, two, and three. One and three were really good. But yeah, um, good holiday movie. The humor was good. John McClane is like the perfect action star. The guy takes like so many hits throughout the whole thing, and you know, covered in blood at the end of it, and still manages to save the day. So I remember like it was one of those movies that I grew up that I'm of the age that I was on the border of like it was one of those movies that I shouldn't have been watching. I was so young when it first came out, but I ended up seeing it anyway. My dad let me watch it with him, so it kind of reminds me of good father and son time too. So there's some, obviously, it's not like plot wise the most thought out movie. I mean, a bunch of terrorists take over a building, and there's a lot of holes in the plot, but it's a good overall. It's a good um wholesome action flick. So yeah.
Yeah. And I like how John McClane, he's not like this stereotypical noble action hero. He's like swearing at the commissioner. Like, what the fuck are you doing here? There are terrorists here, and you're fucking around with this shit. Stop being a douchebag. And then
Mhm.
and he's like swearing at Hans too, and he does that first thing where he writes ho ho ho, now I have a machine gun on that guy, on the shirt of that guy he kills when he sends the elevator back down there. Yeah, there's so many awesome aspects of this movie. What about you, Dusty and Shane? What do you guys think about your, like, just your general impressions of the movie? I'll
I
speak
think it
once.
has one of the best bromances in the history of cinema. Um, and this
Oh yeah,
bromance
for
is
sure.
like, I've been looking around on bromance top 10 lists and stuff, and this is uniquely absent from any of the ones I've ever looked at. But there's this
Oh really?
bond that, yeah, not on there. But there's this bond that these two characters, John McClane and Carl Winslow, or whatever his name is in this movie, um, that they have. Like, they've never met each other, but it's like throughout the whole movie they're communicating over radio, and then they become friends, and they kind of work through the crisis together. And at the end, they become very vulnerable with each other over the radio conversations. And then at the end, they kind of see each other, and they embrace because of what they went through.
Yeah, and they instantly recognize each other, even though they've never seen each other, too.
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny because like when Carl, what's his name in the movie? I just call him Carl Winslow.
I gotta look that up. I can't believe I'm forgetting it.
Well, his name, the actor's name is Reginald Bill Johnson, but I forget his name in the movie.
Yeah.
But on Family Matters, he's also a cop named Carl Winslow.
Okay.
So that's what I kind of know him by. But yeah, at the end, because he's kind of going through a rough patch with his career. And the funny thing is that McClane instantly recognizes, or actually Winslow recognizes him as being a cop just by how he speaks about his life before he even says anything about it.
Sergeant Al Powell.
Oh, there you go.
LAPD cop that helps John McClane with the terrorist takeover of the Nakatomi Plaza in Die Hard. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that bromance part about it. There's a lot of great humor. Funny thing is when this movie was first being advertised, people were very skeptical because Bruce Willis was not seen as an action star. He was actually considered a romantic comedy star.
Yeah.
So
yeah. From Moonlight,
there was there was a lot of contention on whether he could actually pull off the movie. And the movie went through a couple of different writers as well, because they really wanted to nail the comedy aspect. And I think the first writer just wasn't able to do the jokes very well. And the other writer that came in, he used Willis's previous experience as a comedic actor and just kind of drove all those jokes home using Willis, which is why this, I guess you can kind of consider it like an action comedy, and it's kind of one of the first of its kind. Because a lot of you do have your Arnold one-liners in previous movies, but they're not always meant to be hilarious. Just sometimes they are unintentionally hilarious. But I think this is one of the few early 80s movies or mid 80s movies where they really wanted to focus on the comedy aspect while having while creating like a huge action star.
Yeah, totally. Well said. Yeah, that's why John McClane is like I was saying earlier, he's a really awesome character because he's he's a badass motherfucker, but he's also hilarious, and he makes jokes that kind of reduce the tension in all of these hostile situations, and like you said, it can bring you're seeing an awesome action movie, but you're also laughing sometimes because there's humor, which is awesome. And what about you, Shane?
Like for me, that was one of the 20 movies we had on VHS my entire childhood. So I've seen this movie conservatively 200 times.
Holy shit! Wow.
So it's for me anyway. So it's, I mean, one thing I don't like about modern action movies is they don't get the pacing right. You know, like in Die Hard, you have the setup, the bad guys arrive, they set up the whole thing. You know, there's the progression of the movie in terms of the way the tension builds up and multiple points, things actually change. So I really like that about the movie. One of the funny things I heard recently was from the pitch meeting about it. And there's a pitch meeting comedy channel on YouTube, and they point out funny things about the movie, and so Carl tells a story about shooting that kid and how he's lost his cop mojo because he no longer wants to pull his gun. And so the writer's explaining that, and then the producer character is like, wait, so is he sad because he killed a kid or because he no longer wants to shoot people? Oh, it seems like he doesn't want to shoot people anymore, and that's the tragedy. And then at the very end of the movie, you know, it's like the big arc for the character is like, oh, he now has the capacity to take human life again, and this is a very important thing. He's like, he can now kill in cold blood and feel justified.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just super classic. Like, and then who's the guy who plays the bad guy? Is it Al Rickman?
Yeah, Alan Rickman.
Yeah, Snape.
Fucking his best role ever by far.
Well, yeah,
Better
just
than
like
Severus Snape.
Yeah, definitely.
he was also killer in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I mean, let's not forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sheriff of Nottingham.
Yeah,
He's
that's
just a
right.
great actor in general.
Yeah.
He's dead
he
now,
still
isn't
alive?
he? Didn't he
Is
die?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
died
he
recently.
passed away.
Yeah.
This was actually Die Hard was his first movie.
Oh,
and it
yeah,
kind of-
yeah. I remember hearing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they just kind of grabbed him as a stage actor, and they grabbed him because he could do like a convincing Eastern, or not Eastern, but just kind of middle European kind of upper class shtick.
Yeah.
Since he was able to do that, that's why they actually got him for the role.
Yeah. I remember seeing too in a video that Mache showed me that Alan Rickman, he was really hesitant about making his first role being as a bad guy because he didn't want to be typecast as a bad guy. And I remember also seeing in this video that the villains originally, rather than being German, they were Russian. I don't remember why exactly. Maybe it was kind of a Cold War thing. But then and then they changed them to being German. I don't remember exactly why that happened, but I thought that was interesting.
Well, I think it probably had something to do to change the plot from terrorism to bank robbery. Because
Yeah,
I
that
know
could be it.
originally the plot was just going to be terrorism, but then from what I've watched about the movie, they said because there are a lot of tensions going on in the Middle East, they just kind of thought that people were tired of terrorists being the bad guys. So they kind of switched it up to, I guess, bank robbers, which kind of what they were in this movie.
Right. Oh, like if the writers made that transition, then they did it smoothly because it starts off as you thinking that they're terrorists, and then you find out that they're just robbers, basically. And it's like they had that impression of being terrorists on as this kind of mask to like dress up the fact that they're just robbers in a way. It's kind of interesting that they did that.
Yeah, and you do see that kind of plot twist later on in some of the other movies. Like I know Part 3, is that the one with Jimmy Irons?
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of has that same plot twist at the end where everyone thinks they're a terrorist trying to get revenge on McClane when he's really just trying to rob the Federal Reserve or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we should do other chats on the other movies, but like maybe stop after the fourth one because the fifth one kind of sucks. But I like the second one and the third one and the fourth one too. But like you mentioned the third one. One thing, like a few of the main aspects that I like about that are that, well, Samuel L. Jackson being added to it and it being more like almost a buddy cop movie in a way is kind of cool, especially the way they play off each other. Like Samuel Jackson's character is all angry all the time, and I like that McClane is like he's really worn out, and he's like a borderline alcoholic, and he's dysfunctional, but he can still be an action hero and a really reluctant one. And I like that whole theme of the third one too. But yeah, I mean, I think I still think the first one's the best one though.
Yeah, I'd say 1 and 3 are the best in the series. 5, yeah, wasn't the greatest.
I didn't like. I was really disappointed in the fifth one because I actually thought the fourth one was pretty good. Especially only if you watch the uncensored version, though. The fucking PG-13 version where John McClane doesn't swear is so stupid. But but the one where he actually does swear, like John McClane is supposed to, is better. But then the fifth one, it was just like, to me, it just almost seemed like a generic action movie. There wasn't really that much impressive about it to me.
Yeah, you almost kind of get. I don't know. I get the impression sometimes that Hollywood just kind of puts that movie and that script out just because they, you know, they know they're gonna get some. It's like the same reason that we have Fast and the Furious 9 or 10 that's coming.
Yeah,
out.
yeah. I think the ninth one's coming out soon.
Guys, how can we generate some money? Okay, this is what we're gonna do: is Fast and the Furious. Can we still do that one? Yes, we can. Let's push it forward. So yeah.
So I wonder how many Hobbs and Shaw movies there are going to be. Are they going to make 9 of those?
Yeah, no doubt, eh? Well, people still go to see them, I guess. So
yeah, I think they keep making like $1 billion each or something crazy like that.
Oh, really?
I heard that like one of the later ones did, like maybe the 6th or 7th or 8th one. I don't remember which one it was, but it was one of those later ones.
Yeah.
I think I kind of stopped after 6 because I was like, I don't even remember which movie is which anymore. And now they're just kind of recycling the same plot themes over and over again.
Yeah.
Now we're doing giant heists. And then in the next movie, we're doing another giant heist.
Yeah.
I've only seen the first 2.
I kind of like the fourth one, actually, because it actually has all the original cast members and it's like an actual sequel. But I still like the first one. The first Fast and the Furious to me is like the only one that was trying to be a real movie that had an actual plot and authentic characters, other than maybe the fourth one. The second one, it was just like, and maybe the third one too, they were just trying to keep that flashy street racer shit going on, I think. And then in the fifth, sixth, and then the later ones, I don't know, it kind of seems like I mentioned earlier, like they just turn into heist movies. Although I can't say that about the last 1 or 2 that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like, I think I've seen the first, and I think I've watched some of Tokyo Drift. Not it.
Okay. Yeah, apparently I was watching this.
What?
I think it was like, what was that? That was a weird sound. I was watching this video about, it was like a basically compressed plot summary of all 8 Fast and the Furious movies. And apparently, I don't remember which, but in like the 7th or 8th one, they go to see that guy who's in the 3rd one, because the way that they did this series, the 4th, I think from the 4th to maybe the 7th Fast and the Furious movies, apparently they all take place between Fast and the Furious 2 and Fast and the Furious 3, because that Asian character, I think his names might be Hans, but I'm probably totally wrong about that. But his character is in Fast and the Furious 4, 5, 6, and I think 7, because he dies in Tokyo Drift, which was the first movie that his character was in, and then they resurrect him for 4 other movies before skipping to Fast and the Furious 7. It's kind of weird the way they did that.
Yeah, I don't know the plots of these movies. I barely remember the plots of the first 2. So I watched them in theaters, and that was like the last time I watched them when they came out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those was a long fucking time ago. Like the first one might have come out almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, it had to come out either when I was a senior in high school or shortly after that. So in the early aughts, somewhere around there.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I was probably around 10 or so when this movie came out, I guess. So I probably saw it not that long after it came out, but I was like a kid. But yeah, I don't know how we got off on that tangent.
Yeah, I brought up Fast and the Furious because I was comparing it to how many sequels that Hollywood was kind of.
Oh yeah, because Die Hard 5 sucks.
Yeah,
Right.
Well, what's Die Hard 5 called?
I think it's A Good Day to Die Hard. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it's
Okay, I
called.
don't know if I've saw that. I know I've seen Live Free or Die Hard, but I don't know if I've seen 5.
5 is with his son. His son is an adult now, and he's this like I don't know, like a SEAL Team 6 guy or some type of Black Ops guy. So they basically go on this mission together and I don't know, fight some bad guys. I don't really remember much about that one. I kind of like blocked it out of my memory.
Is that the one with the jet, like the fighter jet, or is that part 4?
Oh, that's 4. Yeah.
Okay,
one
so
where- the
yeah, I
one
haven't
where
seen
he-
part 5.
The one where he is being chased by that fighter jet and he kind of like has to get away from it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely part 4. Yeah. Yeah. So do you not like the second one that much, Chris?
No, 1, 2, and 3 I think are good. Yeah, 4 and 5 weren't as memorable. I can't see that. I'm having trouble remembering 4 now that you brought up that plane scene.
That's the one with
Yeah,
Justin Long.
'cause
Okay, I'm sure I've seen it at some point, but
And the main bad guy is fuck, I forget what the actor's name is, but he was in that movie Hitman. He plays the main character in Hitman, and he's
Jason Statham.
no,
yeah.
not Jason Statham.
Well, he looks like the Hitman if he shaved his head a bit more.
Yeah, probably.
1 and 3 were definitely the best ones, though, out of the whole series for me.
Yeah, the only thing I remember about 2 is that it took place in an airport, and then Bruce Willis gets blown up and he flies like really high, and he screams.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's, like,
He
strapped.
comes out of the ejector seat. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing I remember about 2. So it's at an airport, and then that specific scene happens. I have no idea what the plot is about, because I basically haven't seen 2 since I watched it in the movie theater.
Oh wow. Yeah,
I've seen 1 and 3 a bunch of
one-
times, but 2 doesn't seem to come on TV much.
Oh, okay. Well, the second one is kind of a remake of the first one.
Yeah, for sure. It's just
in a lot of ways. It's just like
it's in a plane.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's at an airport instead of a hotel plaza, and like it's American terrorists who take over an airport instead of German terrorists who take over a giant building. And it ends in a pretty similar way with like an epic defeat and John McClane says yippee-ki-yay motherfucker. So yeah.
I think what also is good about the series is John McClane's character, even though he's a strong like cop and he's obviously been on the force for a while, either starts off all these movies with like absolutely nothing, like he's maybe has a gun or maybe he doesn't. He's run into a shitty situation, but he's always like a major underdog in all these plots, right? Like
yeah,
he's always up
definitely.
against guys with like AK-47s and there's 12 of them and they've got, grenades and he happens to take 2 or 3 of them out and then he gets a gun. You know what I mean? He's always the thing that I also gravitated towards in these movies is, how much of like he's kind of like a low life, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
but even though he's a low life, he's still able to just pull off these incredible like takeovers of these gangs in high numbers with, you know what I mean? Like there's such a disadvantage to him. And he's often shown at the end of these movies with like, his arm hanging by a thread and like t-shirt is totally ripped and blood all over his face. You know what I mean? Like everything was totally against him the whole way through. And at the end of the day, he came through. So
yeah, totally, man. Like he's in the first one, he's separated from his wife, and it's a really difficult situation, and he knows he's being stubborn about it. So like it makes the character more real in that way because he's so flawed in that way. And then like that, of course, that genius situation in terms of the writing happens where he ends up being basically having to go around the whole movie barefoot in the first movie, and like his tank top that he has on gets so dirty that it's just totally brown, and then yeah, I guess he eventually just takes it off where it gets ripped to shreds or something like that. And like in the, I guess at the end of the first one, and I guess throughout the second one, he's still he's with Holly again. And then but then in the third one, he's separated from her again, and like basically is getting divorced, and have that, like he's so bad in personal relationships, but he's so good at like killing the fuck out of a bunch of bad guys. It's like he's almost like that the flawed hero in the way that it's like a character who he's really good at being a hero but can't function unless there's some reason to be a hero.
Yeah. It's almost as if he's born into like a whole bunch of bad luck though too. Like everything doesn't seem to go his way. He cuts his foot on the glass, and number one, he signals to the police the first time, come and to the building, and they think it's a false alarm, and then they, you know what I mean? There's a lot of things that are stacked up against him. And so that also adds to him being such an underdog, and
totally. I guess Shane dropped off there. I don't know what happened there, but hopefully he'll come back. But yeah, do you like that underdog aspect too, Dusty?
Yeah, it's I think what makes him a good character is that he has obvious flaws. Like a lot of action heroes before that were typically like flawless characters. Like if you take like all the Schwarzenegger movies, like you take a look at Commando or something like that, and the dude has like no flaws. He never gets shot. He's like he can shoot like 50 dudes with one clip of a machine gun, and I think that's what makes Die Hard a much better. Like his character is much better because we don't know if he has that type of plot armor. He seems more like a regular guy than like this invincible badass that just goes and beats the hell out of people without suffering any type of consequence whatsoever.
Yeah, totally. Like he gets hurt. And I was just thinking too, like he's not even really that good at fighting, like especially when it comes to hand combat. But you can see that he's just so tough that he just gets crazy with rage and just like attacks people and overwhelms them, even though he doesn't seem that good at fighting. He's just good at like going crazy and getting fucking savage on people, because like you can almost see that he like it's almost like part of the reason so good at being a hero and killing all the bad guys is because he just is actually like kind of fucked up and enjoys murdering people.
Well, a big reason of that is because he's surviving. That's like the main thing. He's fighting for survival. So there's like a different aspect when one is fighting for survival, or because there's so much of a badass, it's like not difficult for them to get past a regular or a very contentious situation where you might have to use aggression. For him, it's he has to use it lightly. He has to plan. He has to conceal himself. Like in Die Hard, he spends a lot of time sneaking around.
Yeah.
And when he does confront people, he doesn't just, bust the door down and just start gunning people down. He has to think of ways to take these people out without confronting them like head on. So he uses all these little tactics and things that make him seem like a one-man army, but he really isn't. He's just kind of sneaking around a lot. A lot of it is about gathering intelligence that he relays to the police force on the ground, letting them know how many bad guys are on this floor and that floor. So you can see that even then he's not solely alone in the whole business. That he's relying on other people, and he's not just jumping into the fray with guns blazing. He's being very careful and methodical about the way he traverses the building.
Yeah. It's way more realistic that way. Like he has to be strategic, and he's really smart in the way he goes about doing all that.
Yeah, a lot of the
even with the whole thing where he meets Hans, and almost on the onset he knows that something's up with the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like he kind of literally just figures it out little by little, and then when Hans has the gun and the gun is empty, he's like, that basically shows how he's has a pretty good grasp of situational awareness, in that he's not just some dumb guy slogging around in a multi-story tower. He's basically acting as if he is a special forces guy.
Yeah. Like
a real one, not like an Arnold Schwarzenegger one, where you just grab two machine guns and just gun everybody down, but one where you're really sneaking around, planning ahead, using what resources you have, because he gets crafty with resources. He doesn't. Yeah, he has to see what kind of things in the environment he could use to his advantage. Because I know in one of the fights he uses like this chain and hook thing that was hanging from the ceiling. And I think a lot of it, if you notice, like there's a lot of use of the environment to actually defeat people.
Yeah.
It's not just pure physicality. He uses the environment around him to try to defeat people.
Yeah, totally. Like the way he does that is kind of like more like Jason Bourne than James Bond. Like that kind of using your environment, like how Jason Bourne kills a guy with a book in one of the movies, and like that way that John McClane goes about like setting up traps and doing all this strategic shit and being like a Black Ops guy, like you said. That's more like Rambo in the first Rambo movie than Arnold in a standard Arnold movie.
Yeah, because even McClane struggles, like when he gets into a full-on brawl with somebody, like especially the guy where he fights in the hallway with the chain and the hanging pulley thing. Like he has a lot of trouble fighting that guy. And that guy, I think he was actually, like a martial artist or something,
Oh
like the
wow.
actual actor. And you could see that he couldn't really match physicality with him. He had
Yeah.
to use his environment. Like he couldn't just straight up beat the guy in a stand-up fight. He had to use his environment to actually defeat him.
Yeah, totally. And then that guy beats the fuck out of him too. And then
Yeah,
there's
he
like,
gets pretty thrashed up by the guy.
yeah. And then there's that cool part at the end where you think that that McClane finally kills him in that fight that we're talking about, and then later on at the end he like comes out of the ruins of the building and almost shoots McClane, and that's where what's his name? That's where Al. Yeah, that's where Al finally is able to shoot his gun to kill the bad guy to save McClane.
Yes. So we get that conflict resolution as well, where he becomes a hero again from his failure from shooting a kid. So he gets the guts to do the right thing. But yeah, great movie, right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, like that's why I watch it every Christmas Eve. It's become a Christmas tradition. Like to me it is a Christmas movie because it takes place on Christmas Eve, and there's that Christmas Time in Hollis playing in the limo when Argyle picks him up, and there's that which song is it that plays at the end? Is it, I forget what song it is, but it's is it Walking in a Winter Wonderland that plays at the end? But I don't know. Like some people disagree that it's actually a Christmas movie though. What do you guys think about that?
Oh no, definitely. I
It's
think
not a movie about Christmas.
That's true.
but number 2 is
It-
setting Christmas though too, isn't it?
Yeah, two is like, but two actually has snow in it, if I remember.
Although I
Yeah.
must admit, I think it was the first time I've ever heard a hip hop Christmas song ever in a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
I can't remember ever hearing one anywhere else. But that was, yeah.
Yeah, that's an awesome song too.
But yeah, the oh yeah, one little tidbit too that I thought was interesting. The struggle between McClane and Hans when he releases his watch and he falls down the building. I was watching a documentary, and the actual expression on his face is genuine. It's not acted, because the stunt guy because he did his own stunt there, which is pretty cool for him to do that. So he did that stunt, and they told him, "Hey, we're gonna drop you on 3, so get ready." And they start counting. They go 1, and then they let go, and he's like totally freaked out. So when you see his expression there, that's like a genuine fear expression, because he
Oh, wow.
wasn't ready to be dropped at that moment.
Wow. That's insane. That's so cool though.
Yeah, they did that on purpose, because they didn't want him to be ready for it.
That's funny. I thought I had heard something about that, but I didn't hear those details. Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
cool.
Did you know that the movie is actually based on a book?
Yeah, I did actually. I should read that book.
Yeah, I think in the book, the characterization is a little different. I think the main character, McClane, is in his 60s. And yeah. And at the end of the book, he doesn't drop the bad guy. He accidentally drops his granddaughter or something like that,
Holy
trying to
shit.
save her. Yeah,
Wow.
they changed a lot of the plot around.
Oh, okay.
So it actually has kind of like a tragic and like part of that story. But yeah, it's an adaptation of a book. I
Right.
don't know. I haven't read the book, but it's worth checking out, I guess, to find out what the base materials, what it's based on.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there was I remember Oh yeah, I remember also hearing that they did most of the shooting at night too, because Bruce Willis was still shooting. I don't remember whether the show he was on was called Moonlighting or Moonlighters, but
Moonlighting, yeah.
Moonlighting. That show that he was on, and oh yeah, I also remember hearing that that the way that him and Al meet each other in the movie at the end, that actually was pretty realistic too, because they actually never met each other and filmed their scenes separately, because they actually are physically separate in the movie, right? So they didn't actually
Yeah.
meet until their scene at the end.
Yeah, that was Reginald Bell Johnson's first movie also.
Oh, I didn't know that. Cool.
Yeah, he was like about to quit acting because he couldn't get any gigs. So
Oh,
he
wow.
got that. Yeah, he got that role, and that kind of led to more roles after that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he tends to play cops.
That's funny.
So he did kind of get typecast.
Well, I guess that's better than not being able to act.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Would have been
Yeah,
cool.
I didn't know I thought for some reason that Reginald Bell Johnson had died. There's
Oh.
like a bunch of actors or like celebrities I always thought had died already.
Yeah,
Like-
that's happened to me a few times.
Like when they announced recently that Kenny Rogers died, I was like, didn't he die like a long time ago?
Yeah. Yeah, that's happened to me a few times. I can't think of any examples off the top of my head though. But that's happened a few times, like, oh, I thought that person's dead. I thought they had died already. Or even like the opposite has happened to me a few times before. I've been like, that person's alive? I thought I had heard that they were dead. It's usually just because they're like an actor who's old as fuck or something like that. Like, I don't think this actually happened, but like with someone like Ian McKellen or someone around his age, like an older actor like that.
Oh, I think, well, not Ian, the other guy. Was the other old guy? The guy who played Saruman in Count
Oh,
Dooku.
Christopher Lee.
Yeah, he died.
Oh, he did die now?
Isn't he dead? Like, didn't they use like? I swear.
I'm gonna look
I
this
swear
up right
they
now.
used like CGI to recreate him in the movie or something.
No, he was alive for like the Hobbit movies. Oh yeah, he is deceased. He died June 7th, 2015. Wow, right after he finished playing Sauron for the last time.
Yeah, so and I remember he was like in the movie he was like super frail.
Yeah.
Like in the last movie, I was like, man, he's probably should retire soon.
Yeah. He was I think he was in his 90s, and I remember seeing the special features for the Hobbit movies that he was so old that he couldn't fly to New Zealand to film his scenes, so he filmed them all in a studio in London without flying anywhere.
Yeah, because he was 93 when he died, so he was basically in his 90s filming. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, man, and they put a lot of makeup on him, but he wasn't moving around too great.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Die Hard came out in 88, and next year in 89 is when Family Matters aired. So it looks like Al Powell's very next role was a cop in a family-friendly TV show. Because I always know him as Carl Winslow, which is his character from Family Matters. and he probably got, I don't know, he probably made it way more money from that show than he did from Die Hard.
Oh yeah, I bet. For how long was the show on?
It was on for a while.
And it was like huge, man. It had, remember when they used to have like TGIF Fridays, and they used to have like
Yeah,
that house,
it was
and
a huge show.
they
Yeah.
had a whole bunch of them on the same time slot, and that one was always Urkel was huge, like the character.
Okay, 10 years, 215 episodes.
Yeah,
Holy shit! Wow. Yeah.
And he played Carl Winslow in Perfect Strangers in one episode. So he was like in a crossover episode on Perfect Strangers.
Hmm.
So actually, you know what? Perfect Strangers aired first.
yeah.
So Family Matters is actually a spinoff, which is weird because I believe it was more successful than Perfect Strangers.
Yeah, for sure it was. Both based in
Yeah.
Chicago, though.
What's that?
They're both based in Chicago.
Yeah, so Family Matters is a spinoff of Perfect Strangers.
Huh. I guess that doesn't happen most of the time. Like,
Yeah, you don't get too many spinoffs nowadays.
no, I mean this. Well, yeah, that too. Yeah, but I mean, the spin-offs being more popular than the main show. Like, there's no way Better Call Saul will be as popular as Breaking Bad, for example. At least in my opinion.
I really like Better Call Saul, though.
I do too. Yeah, I still like Breaking Bad more though.
It's okay. One of the things I really like about Better Call Saul is that in Breaking Bad, Mike was basically my favorite character, and he gets more screen time in Better Call Saul.
That's true.
And I also like the character. He plays. What does he play? In Better Call Saul, he's one of the gangsters, but he also is like one of the main villains in a video game that I played called Far Cry 3. And he's probably one of the best video game villains that I've seen on screen.
Oh, cool. I played I think the first Far Cry game. But not the third one.
Yeah, there's like 5 of them now.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, he played a guy called Voss. And they used his likeness in the game as well. They basically just made a 3D model of him. But he plays like this really insane dude. But he's like actually really funny too. So he plays one of the gangsters on Better Call Saul. He was like one of the main antagonists
Which one?
from Better Call Saul.
Yeah, I mean, which one of the main antagonists?
What his name? He was one of the because you know how there's like the old Hispanic guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think his name in the show is Nacho or something.
Oh, okay. It's that guy?
His name is Nacho in Better Call Saul.
Okay.
But he's also one of the main villains in Far Cry.
Cool. Have you played that, Chris? You game more than me.
I played the first Far Cry, but I haven't played 2, 3, 4, and 5.
I
Okay.
haven't played any of the others.
Yeah.
3 is pretty good. I've played 1, 2, and 3. I have 4. Haven't played it, but yes, it's a pretty decent game.
It's a first person
But yeah,
shooter kind
Mike
of
Ehrmantraut was always my favorite from the series.
Yeah, I don't know, man. There are so many characters that I like in the series for different reasons. Like Walter White, definitely for different reasons. Like he's basically the archetype of the character of Michael Corleone in the Godfather, but like spread out throughout a whole series and done in a slightly different way, which is awesome. It's awesome the way he like gains power and becomes more and more ruthless, and the way that Jesse becomes like more tough and hardened, and he like kind of learns the error of his ways, and and like Mike for all the reasons that you like him, I'm sure, and like so many other characters too. But I don't know, like I'd have to I don't know, I'd say maybe Walter White is my favorite character, even though he's the main character, or maybe partially because he is, but yeah, I don't know.
I kind of have like, to me, Walter Wright. I have kind of the same relationship with Walter Wright that I do with Randolph Thor.
Oh, okay.
They're like moments where I think he's just a complete asshole and is not really that redeemable. I think that's something that happens with Walter Wright's character throughout the series. Like he just becomes an unredeemable person at points in the series where you're just like, man, Walter White's kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
And a lot of that had to do with, towards the end of the series where he was just becoming like this ruthless asshole dude. I was like, man, what's this guy turned into? Like he used to have some ethics and he's like throwing those ethics outside the window.
Yeah, basically. It ends up becoming all about power.
Mm-hmm.
Gaining power and preserving it.
Yeah.
That saying, power corrupts. The absolute power corrupts. Oh, I forgot how the end of it goes, but yeah.
Yeah, power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that show in a nutshell.
Yeah, basically.
And did any of you see the El Camino movie?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I actually never got around to it.
No, I
I
didn't.
thought it was pretty good. I didn't think it was as good as the show, but pretty good. Did you see it, Chris?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh, okay. It's worth watching.
I didn't watch. I haven't got into Better Call Saul either. So.
Oh, okay.
I did Breaking Bad.
Better Call Saul is really, really different. It's very different. It's like there's a lot of comedic stuff in it, but there's also like some pretty high drama stuff in it.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
It's my
own. Because there's like it's a lot about his relationships with people, his failure as a lawyer, and like his path of becoming one, and like the kind of ups and downs that he's had to go through in order to just maintain a decent living, and the crazy people that he's surrounded by, like especially his brother. That's a pretty interesting relationship that he has. It's I think like the first couple of seasons are basically revolve around his relationship with his brother.
Yeah, definitely.
And how they're like always butting heads, and how like his brother's like super, super successful, but like Saul's just kind of known as like the family fuck up that can't get anything done right. And he kind of just makes some decisions that are kind of questionable, and you kind of get to see like how he kind of becomes the character he does become in Breaking Bad, because it's a prequel. It's before all of the Breaking Bad stuff happens.
Yeah.
I never liked.
He's not even called Saul, right? He doesn't even have that name in the Better Call Saul. So like the title of the show, like his name isn't. He hasn't don the Saul Goodman persona yet.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
His
So that
name's
persona doesn't exist in that show yet.
his name's Jimmy something or other. What's his last name in it?
Shoot, what's his name in the show? His name, Bob Odenkirk.
Main character's
It's
name.
basically about his transformation in the Saul. So, is this still airing? Because or did it end?
I think it's still.
I think it's gonna
airing.
have 6 seasons, so it's still current.
Okay.
But his Jimmy McGill, I think his name is.
Yeah, Jimmy McGill. Yeah, that's what it says.
And he actually becomes like a pretty damn good lawyer. It's just like there's other crap that happens in his life that totally disrupts his ability to succeed as a lawyer.
Yeah, definitely.
And you can tell the guy has a good heart. It's just like things get screwed over by a lot of the situations he's in.
Yeah, for whatever reason, he wasn't ever my favorite character from Breaking Bad. So when I knew the series was coming out, it was just kind of like, plus for some strange reason, it's not like I'm totally against sequels or prequels or anything like that. But I kind of hate the idea, or not hate the idea, but I'm just, whenever something's like, oh, this is coming out, like when they're talking about Game of Thrones and making all those side series right now on HBO, and like, you guys already got my money, and I just feel like Hollywood they try to stretch as much out of a plot line as they can, or out of a character as they can, and sometimes you should just let art just be what it is. You know what I mean? And just have, now, having said that, like Back to the Future 2 is arguably better than number 1, and there's some other series that 1 or 2 or the third one, like Die Hard 3, is for me on the same plateau as number 1. They're both equally as good to me, but I don't know. Yeah, for some reason I just can't get into. I used to be able to when I was younger, but nowadays I feel like it's got to be like some awesome for me to get into. If it was a sequel or prequel of a previous series, I was just good with Breaking Bad, and then that was it for me. But the shitty thing is like, since I've been kind of hard headed with this, I've heard that it's a good series, and that I should actually be watching it. So
Yeah.
Better Call Saul is good. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
whenever whenever I'm watching it, it's always, damn, I want to see another episode. Like, it's one of those types of shows. Like, you get at the end of an episode and you want to just keep binge watching it.
Yeah.
But it's that
I should
kind of
definitely give
show.
it a shot. I just always feel like they do. Like, for example, I didn't watch that movie, but I heard that it didn't really get the Netflix one. Sorry, on like the Breaking Bad,
El Camino.
I didn't hear it was that good.
Well, it's like I guess the Metacritic score is like 7.5 out of 10.
Oh, okay, so it did okay.
Yeah, it's not amazing, but it's not bad either. That's what basically that means.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah, it's worth watching, but it's not as good as the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing about the show too is like Breaking Bad, the first season was actually hard for me to watch because it seemed more depressing than anything else. It's just about this guy, he's dying of cancer, and he's just like has a fucked up relationship with his family. It's like, man, this is supposed to be a good show. But I think after the first couple seasons is when it starts to get better.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad, at least.
Yeah, I would say so. It gets better. I don't like it, to me. It gets better and better as it goes along.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Oh, you mentioned Back to the Future. That's interesting. I like the first Back to the Future movie the most. I would just was rewatching them recently with my dad, and I thought the second one, it seemed to me like, they had a lot of the same type of plots, which often happens in sequels. But the thing for me was that some of the acting almost seemed like it was deliberately more cheesy in some ways.
Oh,
Which-
100%. Yeah, I think 1, 2, and 3 are
You
completely.
had fake Donald Trump.
timelines.
Yeah, Biff, basically.
Yeah. So you got Donald Trump. Part 2 very much rehashes the first movie. Like they basically share some scenes because they go back in time again to the same scenes that played out in the first movie.
That's right.
Part 3 is kind of like its own thing.
Yeah.
That they don't really
it's like
rehash the plot at all in part 3.
Yeah, for sure. And it is interesting to see those scenes in the second one where it's like you see parts of the world and parts of the scenes from different perspectives that you didn't see in the events that take place in the first movie. And yeah, but like in terms of the sequels sometimes being better than the originals, like I think one that probably almost everyone would agree on is The Dark Knight being better than Batman Begins. Like that was a huge difference to me. Like I like Batman Begins. I think it's a good movie, but I don't think it's anywhere near as good as The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight is like the best performance of a villain ever, although I know you and I disagree about that, Dusty, and you think it's Gary Oldman's character in I can't believe I'm forgetting about the name of the movie. Leon the Professional. Yeah.
I think anytime Gary Oldman is a villain is better than anything else. Gary Oldman is like excellent villain guy. Like he did villains in The Fifth Element, another movie with Boots. He just has that BDE when it comes to villain portrayal.
What's BDE?
And by BDE, I mean big dick energy. Big dick energy.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
He's just good at screaming and being villainous.
Definitely.
That's funny. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, that's BDE.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Heath Ledger as the Joker in The Dark Knight has a lot of big dick energy too.
Well, isn't like Heath Ledger's performance now kind of compared with Joaquin Phoenix's performance? I haven't seen the newest Joker movie, but I heard it's pretty damn good.
I
have too. Yeah. Did you see it, Chris?
No, I haven't. No? Again, back to my. There's so many fucking Batman movies, prequels. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I don't know. I heard it's good, and I should see it, but I haven't because there's so much content out there too, and it's hilarious. I've been like stuck at home for the past 3 weeks, and even though I've been stuck at home for the past 3 weeks, I still haven't been able to catch up on all the shows and all the video games and all the albums out there. You know, there's still so much fucking content. I can't believe people are saying they're bored.
Yeah, I know. That's what I've been thinking lately. That's what I've been thinking. Like, you're bored? Like, there are all these books to read, all these movies to watch, all these video games to play. You can do podcasts and stuff like that. You can do other creative work. I never run out of things to do or get bored.
Yeah, me neither, man.
Yeah.
I'm reading.
It's really hard to not. It's really hard for me to get bored. You'd have to take away all of my. You'd have to take away the internet. You'd have to take away all the books I haven't read on my bookshelves. You'd have to take away my TV. You just have to take away a lot of things for me to get bored.
Yeah, me too. Like I always have an endless list of books that I want to read, and like there are always new movies coming out on Netflix and like movies that I haven't seen that I want to see and movies that I want to rewatch, and then there are all these podcasts that I want to do, and like for me I've still got another few weeks of school left, and I've got this big ass paper to write, and I've got to study for final exams too, and I'll have
Yeah.
more time for all this kind of stuff and more creative work when I'm finally done that too.
Yeah, and I haven't even
Yeah, I'm the
started
same.
the Tiger King yet.
Yeah, me neither. I keep hearing about that, like every Joe Rogan podcast, basically.
Yeah, I'm debating whether or not to get in because so many people have gotten into it. I feel like I know what happens in it now. So many people have talked about it, so it's kind of been ruined for me. But yeah, no, I have a queue for everything too, man. Like podcasts, I got like 10 episodes I want to listen to still. I got a few video games I still want to tackle and try to beat. I have like 8 seasons of Curb I have to still get through. Like it's fucking. There's so much shit out there. It's crazy.
Yeah, we are like even though like production is stopping on a bunch of TV shows and movies and video games and stuff like that. I mean, there's still a massive dearth of content for all of us to go through.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, I think I should end it there for today for now, guys. So I gotta do more work in my paper, my final paper. But yeah, it was fun talking about Die Hard, and then also, of course, talking about other movies and stuff like we often do. So, thanks a lot for joining.
Well, should we do a rating? What do we rate Die Hard as?
Oh yeah, sure. So let's just use the 5-star rating that Goodreads uses. How many stars out of 5?
I would give it 4.7. Well, it's like almost a perfect movie. Almost perfect. It's like 4.8, 4.9. It has almost no flaws. I'm gonna give it. If I were to rate it like off the cuff, I'd probably just give it 5 stars.
Oh yeah.
I'd just give it the whole 5.
Yeah, I'd say I'd probably give it 5 stars too.
Yeah, because in Goodreads you can only do solid stars, so I don't think 4 stars is adequate. So I would have to give it 5 stars.
Me too.
I might have been at 5 stars, but before this we were doing the chat. I went and have you ever heard of Everything That's Wrong With, the YouTube channel?
Yeah, I think.
Yes.
Have you ever watched the one on Die Hard?
I don't think I
No.
Okay, watch the one on Die Hard. Anyway, I watched it, and there's like so many plot holes in the movie that are like for example, like when the truck is like in the basement and they had to break out at the exact same time that the police pulled out, or their whole plot relied on that whole sequence of events taking place, or there's a whole bunch of things in the movie that he's in one scene and it shows like he's on level 22, and then the other one he's on like anyway. So I
would highly suggest.
Was that?
I would highly suggest checking out this documentary on Netflix about Die Hard, and they do discuss some of these weird plot holes, and a lot of them are because they changed the scripts like
100
during
times.
the movie. Yeah, while the movie was being filmed.
There's a lot of nostalgic behind Die Hard, so I ultimately give it still like probably a 4 or 4.5, but it was probably at 5 stars until I saw that about it. Just because I saw it, I'm like, oh shit, there is that kind of like there's a few things missing in it, or anyway.
Well, yeah, there's a scene basically that they know they made a mistake because they filmed it before they changed the script. But there's a scene when they first drive the truck into the basement and all the bad guys get out of the truck.
Mm-hmm.
there's no ambulance in the truck because later in the movie, the whole deal is to use the ambulance as a heist vehicle to leave the scene. But when they first drive that big truck into the parking garage, there is no ambulance in it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something like that mentioned in the
Okay.
in that YouTube clip. But anyway, it's still a really good. I'm not, but it's yeah.
I almost don't want to watch that if it's gonna reduce how much I like Die Hard by so much. What's that documentary called, Dusty?
It's a series of documentaries. I think it's called The Movies That Made Us or something like that.
Oh, I've seen that. Oh, I didn't real. So is it that Die Hard is one of the ones that they examined?
Die Hard is one of the movies that they do like a little documentary about.
Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of the little facts that I spouted off today came from that documentary.
Oh, okay.
I suggest if you're like a big fan of Die Hard to check it out.
Sweet. I did not know that they did an episode on that. So yeah, that sounds like a great idea. All right. Well, yeah, I will just do the stuff that I like to do at the end of these here, and then you guys can say anything else you want to before we go. So, yeah, so thanks to everyone for watching this Mindgasms movie chat on the awesome movie Die Hard. And yeah, maybe we can do a chat on each of the other ones at some point. And yeah, thanks to all of you who channel and press the like button on the video or comment on it, and especially to those of you who support me on Patreon. I really appreciate that. And like I always say, I love you all. Keep being the tiny beam of light that shines through the almost impenetrable darkness in the universe. And most importantly, always remember this: the funk cures all. And also, groove is in the heart. So, and here. So, anything else to say before we end it there, guys?
No.
Yeah, if I was... Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, stay safe.
Yeah.
Stay indoors. Stay the fuck home, as Samuel L. Jackson would say.
Yeah. Stay the fuck home and watch Die Hard.
Yeah. And if I were to change the catchphrase, I would have changed it to diddle I, motherfucker.
Why?
If you don't, I don't know. Yippee-ki-yay is a little too simplistic.
Okay.
So I just would inject a little bit of Mary Poppins in there and, make it a little bit more vulgar. Be diddle I, motherfucker.
Super.
And if anyone doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about, it's yeah, basically. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, motherfucker.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is a good note to end it on. All right. Adios. Until next time, everyone. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, motherfuckers.